Hello, everyone, and welcome back to our latest Nostalgic or Problematic, where we are rewatching singular season 2 of Dawson's Creek.
Yes.
We are on season 2, episode 3 today, and it is entitled Alternative Lifestyles.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, sure.
That name.
Here's the summary. A class assignment gives Jen a chance to win Dawson back as Pacey learns the truth about Andy's wealth.
Yep. With a lot of other things in between, but yes.
Also, this was the first time I watched Dawson's not on Amazon because it is now on Hulu.
Is that where it was? I paid for it. I paid $2.
Girl, no, it's on Hulu for free money. Well, I mean, you paid for Hulu, but
so Amazon got 2 more of my dollars. What are you gonna do?
Remember we just talked about this.
I know. I don't know. It came up and said, "You want to watch the next episode?" I was like, "Yeah." You want to pay $2? Sure.
Well, now you know. You don't.
Now
have
I know.
to.
Okay.
All right. So here we go with this episode. For those of you who are new here, quick explanation: what we do on Nostalgic or Problematic is we rewatch things from the 80s and 90s, and we discuss: are they nostalgic or problematic?
Yep. Basically,
that's it.
And
ta-da!
Danny uses happy faces and frowny faces, and I use hearts and X's.
Yeah, and sometimes I don't use anything. I just have a feeling about something.
Or something you want to talk about.
So we don't know. I mean, not all of it is like, that is problematic. That is nostalgic. It's a lot deeper.
It's a little deeper than that.
And if you're watching us on YouTube, I still have on my Rainbow Cheetah onesie from our Lisa Frank documentary episode. So go check that out if you haven't yet.
I love that.
So let's jump in.
Okay. So the opening, before the intro music plays, is Dawson and his dad mostly talking about sex and if he's having sex with Joey. And it's basically just Dawson's dad being a parent, kind of trying to talk about the importance and understanding the consequences, all the things you would think. And Dawson just being an antagonist.
I mean, but also he like tells his dad, "I'm a sexual being." Ew.
Yeah.
Would you ever say that to your parents?
No, never in a million years.
I wouldn't even say that to my parents now at 44.
Well, he said something like, "I'm a sexual being." And his dad's like, "Are you and Joey having sex?" He goes, "No, but I'm a sexual being," or whatever. Like he was just kind of pointing out that
I know. I don't
at
remember
any
what he
moment
said.
it could happen.
I don't know, but ew.
But I did think it was interesting because the dad was doing this whole, we would never like make out in front of our parents. We would, sneak around or whatever. And Dawson's like, so what's the difference if you're sneaking around doing it in a car or I'm just here at my house doing it? And Dawson's dad says, well, I think parents should at least make it harder for kids to do that or something like that. That was kind of his rationale.
Well, I mean, there's a difference in doing it without like Dawson's like, just like, here I am. Like, I'm just going to be making out of my bed. And then like we talked about this last episode. Then like, what's the word I'm looking for? My brain is just like flatlining.
Yeah.
Then like being blatant about it and then being okay with it and just not in the face about it, maybe.
Right. I think too, it just is any of us that were teenagers at that time, that's probably what our parents' attitudes were too. Was your mom like that?
What?
Very like, not in my house.
It was kind of weird.
Bedroom doors shut.
Oh yeah. I wasn't. Well, and my house setup was different than our setup. Like our floor, like we have an open floor plan. So like the living room is in the middle. So the bedrooms, like, and then we have our loft area. But in my house growing up, it was like the bedrooms were out in the way back of the house. Right. So that was a no boy zone for Danny. Like I was not allowed to have boys back in my bedroom at all. We had to be in the front of the house because we had like our living room and then like a front room area. But I don't know. My mom was weird because like she would let me have my boyfriend there in the house. And I had a serious boyfriend for a while when I was like an upperclassman. And when she wasn't there, sometimes she would. And my grandma would like get so mad at her about it. But she would say, well, they're going to do what they're going to do, whether they're in a parked car on the side street or they're in my house.
Right.
But sometimes that would freak me out so bad that she like knew I was there. It prevented things from happening.
Interesting.
I say sometimes.
Sometimes. Yeah.
Like there was still plenty of making out happening.
Yeah.
But like Yeah. And my mom, you know, she was a single parent at the time and was working. And so like she literally had to just be like, figure shit out because
there's only so much you can monitor.
Correct.
Yeah.
My she parents, is right.
My parents were pretty strict about it, but same thing. Like they were both working by the time I was a teen, but then I had younger brothers. So if I wasn't supposed to have someone over, like they would tell on me or our neighbors would see. So generally I wouldn't have a boy over unless they said it was okay, which they never did if they weren't there.
Gotcha.
But yeah. And I even remember coming home from college, my college boyfriend came with me and normally he would sleep in a different room. And I don't even remember. We were up late and we both fell asleep in my room. I don't even think he was on the bed. And by the time we woke up in the morning, my dad had left us a really not nice note.
Whoa.
And we were probably like 20 or 21.
That's hilarious.
And it was basically like about the disrespect of it and it was bad. And I didn't really care. I was kind of like, I was like, fine, we'll just go back to college and sleep in the same room there.
Yeah.
But my boyfriend was like, I bet
he was so embarrassed. Yeah.
And I was just like, it's fine. Like,
well, it's, you know, it's your parents.
Parents
though,
are going to parent. Yeah. It's like, I don't care that much, but he was like mortified.
That's funny. I remember when my boyfriend came home with me from college for something, I don't know. And I was like 20, 21. And my mom, he stayed in the room with me, but my mom brought like an air mattress in there. So it's like she was kind of like just, I guess, to make herself feel better.
It's the suspension of disbelief.
But then also, it also put in my head, well, like, oh, like I don't know, like it was just
maybe he should sleep on the air mattress.
Yeah, and he did. He totally did. Well. And so, I mean. It's just funny because I don't know. My mom was weird. I feel like she was not that strict, but then also, I don't know. I don't know. Like, yeah.
I just thought I thought that whole opening scene was sort of funny.
It was funny.
And then we go into the opening sequence, which has the other song now.
Yeah.
Which still throws me off.
I know.
Okay. So then the episode starts and I know it was common for the time and it's still common now, but it kind of bugs me when people make fun of jocks in such a stereotypical way, like Jen and Abby did. I know Jen and Abby are supposed to be not nice and snarky.
Yeah.
But like, they're so stupid and they're Neanderthals and da-da-da-da-da. And it's like, okay, but like, what? Because they play on a sports team?
Well, there was a lot of toxic stereotypes in this episode.
In this episode for sure. And I realized TV of the time, but it's just, I think when I watched that younger, I probably was just like, oh yeah, they're dumb. Yeah. But this time I was like, that really bothered me.
Yeah.
I was like,
because you have athletes in your house.
You know? Yeah.
Right?
Right. And it's just, we wouldn't want them to say like whatever about the band Geeks or about the whatever. So like, why is it okay to make fun of people who play sports?
Right.
I don't know. That bothered me.
It goes back to the whole like having stereotypes of any kind is problematic because it does, you have assumptions about people.
And everything's under one umbrella. So I didn't like that. So then we've got where Andy is frantic because she doesn't have the notes from her economics
I could totally
class.
relate to that.
Yeah, she had missed the notes or not taken. She lost her notes or hadn't taken notes, and they're about to go into class where they're going to have a discussion about it. So for some reason, she's asking Pacey for the notes.
Well, she doesn't know him well enough yet,
true.
Right?
Who does not have notes. And his best advice, she's like, what do I do if he calls him? And he's like, just say pass. She's like, what? And he's like, just say pass. And of course, then the teacher calls on her. She doesn't know the answer, so she passes. And the funniest part of all that to me was the camera shows Pacey giving her a thumbs up. I thought that was so funny.
I could totally relate to her like panic. I used to get a lot of anxiety with school because I was a good student, except for the F and PE. I had
oh yeah, except for that.
I had 9 weeks. My first 9 weeks of my freshman year of high school was awful. And that was my only time I ever made bad grades. And I had a lot going on, like emotionally and mentally. And so then the second 9 weeks, I was grounded the entire 9 weeks. I did nothing fun because my mom was like, hey, in my house, only A's and B's were accepted because they knew that my sister and I, that was our best work.
You could do it. Yeah.
Now, if we had a C, and there was times I did get, every now and then I would get a C in like math, of course. And it was but they were like, if you're getting a C and you're working, or even anything lower than that, but you have put all your effort into it, like you've gone for help, you've spent all the time. If that is your best work, then we'll accept it.
Of course.
But
makes sense.
Thankfully, I mean, my sister and I never really struggled a lot in school, except for PE.
Except for PE.
I struggled in math. Let me fix that. I did, but once I had tutoring and stuff, I did a lot better. I was back to being an A or B student. But anyway, what was I talking? Oh yeah, so I would panic about doing well in school, and I can remember that kind of anxiety of like, oh my God, I'm not prepared.
Yes. Oh yeah. I mean, that happens to me now.
Oh yeah.
If I'm like going into a work meeting and I remember, oh crap, they're going to ask me about this thing that I didn't look at yet or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, it happens. And so I totally related to that. But then I wish we could be more like Pacey.
Anyway, I know.
So then we go into the actual project that they're going to do, right?
Yeah.
So they're going to do this microeconomics project. So they pair off, except at the end, Joey's the last one left. So she's a single person working on this. And the teacher gives them different economic variables.
Yeah.
You're married and you have this job and you have that job. You make X amount per year. We had the same sex couple.
Which, let's talk about that for a second.
Which were the two stupid jocks, of course.
I like that the teacher, like the way the teacher included it was not like...
No, the teacher was like, okay, you'll be a same-sex couple.
Yeah, it was
blah,
very
blah, blah,
casual,
blah, blah.
but I didn't like that it was a running joke the whole episode. I did not like that.
It was good and bad. The way the teacher presented it as just like, this is a normal part of our economy was good. And then when they actually presented the project at the end, the two of them kind of owned the project, I felt like.
But I still felt like it was from like a comic point of view.
Everyone else was kind of laughing at it, but to me, the two people in it presented it seriously. I don't know. Because I watched for that, but everyone else was like
the whole
snickering.
narrative around it though was the 90s homophobia.
Yeah, I was like, oh my God, it's so funny that they're gay.
Gay is a joke, right?
Mostly.
And also you're taking this, what is supposed to be the stereotypical straight male athlete, and say, like, it's so preposterous that they would be like a gay couple. Why?
Yeah.
Because that's feeding into harmful stereotypes of what gay and straight or even is or looks like or whatever.
Or
and athletes too.
Yeah.
So I just so that did not age well.
No. And then what ends up happening is Joey is on her own because everyone's paired off. So she does it as a single, successful career woman, mom. She did have kids. Yeah. So that's kind of how that went. And I just wanted to say that up front because that's kind of weaved throughout the episode.
Yeah.
A line I hated, and this was because Abby gets paired off with, I can't remember his name.
Yeah, that poor kid.
But he's a stereotypical
quote unquote dork,
guy, I guess. Yeah. Although he seemed nice enough, and he's serious about the project, and she just keeps rolling her eyes and like belittling him. No, how about you just do it and put my name on it? And then she says this line to Jen. Actually, I don't think she was talking about him. I think she was talking about Dawson. When she's trying to convince Jen to just like put herself out there and try to get, she said something about how Dawson's not like that or whatever. And Abby's like, he's jerking his gherkin and humping the mattress every morning.
So hard.
I was dead. I was like, wow, what a line.
Was laughing so hard. Well, because I also wrote down in that scene, she said, he's a 15-year-old boy. He doesn't know what love is. And I was like, actually, correct.
Good job, Abby.
But yeah, I was laughing super hard about that.
Yeah, that whole setup. So essentially, Abby's trying to sort of pressure Jen, since she has this one-on-one time with Dawson for the project, to kind of
throw herself at him,
which again, like, Jen doesn't have to do what Abby says, but it's bad advice.
Well, Jen's not in a good place, and so
she's vulnerable.
But again, their clothes, the whole 90s vibe was bringing me back.
It was really good.
The little slip dresses. Oh my God, the floral everything.
I loved.
Here for it.
I have too that I didn't. I mean, I get that it's part of the arc of the show and it kind of resolves itself at the end. But when Joey tells her sister repeatedly she doesn't want her advice on her project, because Joey tells her sister, who is she a single mom now?
Okay, so I wrote down on here,
what happened to her boyfriend?
Also, where the hell is Bodhi, the boyfriend? Have they even addressed that? Like where he is?
No.
Okay. Well, they're not married.
I knew they weren't married.
But I was like, where did he go? I remember like in the first season, he like went somewhere, but like he came back. He was like on a business trip.
Yeah, because it was when she was in labor.
Yeah, but he came back. So
yeah, he came back.
Have they talked about it and we just forgot? Like, where the fuck is he?
I have not heard a word about it. But the implication in this scene was that Joey's sister is saying, oh, you're doing a project like, as a single working mom. I can give you advice.
Yeah.
And Joey's just like, well, no offense. I don't want to be like you. So you're not the person I want to ask. You're not exactly doing a great job.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah, pretty much.
And oh man, the whole scene, I was just like infuriated. I was just like, you've got to be kidding me. Bessie, yes. Poor Bessie. So anyway, another thing I really liked about the project was when they were meeting and they're like, oh, we would get this kind of apartment and we would like have this or that. And Pacey's like, I need a Viper.
A Viper. Let's go. It was so stupid and teenage boy.
And him and Andy were partners. But yes. I just wrote down, I remember thinking about all that grown up stuff like at that age, like the kind of stuff I was going to want. Like I wanted to live. I had the kind of apartment I wanted to have, etc.
Yeah, I had dreams that I was just going to leave after high school and go to New York.
I mean,
that's what I was going to do.
That's a grown-up thing.
And I really wanted to do that. I really, really wanted to. In fact, it's funny, you know, when you have yearbooks or whatever, we had these things at my school that were like senior, like scrapbooks almost, that everybody would order. Like the company that made our like class rings, like Jostens or whatever the hell it was. And you would like write messages in there instead of yearbooks.
Okay.
And I found mine probably when we started recording and I was like going through all my stuff. And so many people in there wrote, I can't wait to see what you do on Broadway and like all this stuff. It was so funny. And I was like, oh, dream big, little Danny.
It's okay. Hey, look, we got to dream big at that age and at this age.
But anyway, yeah.
I just remember being like, oh, remember being that age.
That age. And the world was your oyster.
Yeah. And you thought, when I get out of college, I'll have a great job and a great home and a great car. And, you know, or if I don't go to college and I just go work, like whatever it is, you're getting close to the age where you can make those decisions.
Right.
And so in your head, you're going to do things a certain way or go a certain place or do it different than your parents or your siblings or whatever. And I just, that kind of like the feeling that you can't really explain to people that age, that's not always how it goes.
It never is.
You just have to figure it out as you go.
Yeah.
But anyway, I just wrote that down. What else do you have?
I wrote, here's a random tidbit. So Jack, Kerr Smith is the name of the actor. He was the second oldest cast member. Guess how old he was when he filmed the season?
23?
He ended up, I think he started it at 26 and finished at 27.
Wait, how old was the girl who played Andy?
29.
Wow. What? They don't look like it.
Right?
At all.
What?
I mean, especially now, people look younger, much older, but I feel like
isn't that wild?
Almost 30 years ago? Yeah, that's wild that they look so young.
But to be fair, when I was 29, I probably... Well, did I ever tell you the story of what happened to me? When I was in college and I graduated, like we did quarters instead of semesters. So I graduated like in the fall quarter after, like I was like a extended senior. Long story. But anyway, I had like in between time where I didn't have classes, like whole days where I wouldn't have classes. So I would substitute teach. And they always needed substitute teachers at middle school because nobody likes to sub middle school.
Right.
I got called one time mid-morning because the teacher got sick at school and they needed me to come. So I showed up at like 9:30, 10, and the halls are empty. And I'm like racing down the hallway. And at the time I had really long blonde hair, whatever. And I'm sure I was dressed like 22-year-old's dress. And this teacher stopped me and said, ma'am, I need to see your hall pass. And I said, what? Or they didn't say, obviously didn't say ma'am. Well, whatever they said. Maybe they did because it was the South.
Yeah,
so everybody
they might have.
And I was like, what? And they're like, why are you out of class? And I was like, because we didn't have badges, guys. This was in 2001.
You don't have the big yellow sticker.
No, I had nothing except I was walking down the hall. Like I had my purse or whatever. And they're like, they thought I was a student.
Oh, that's awesome.
And not even high school, guys.
Middle school. I wonder if once she started talking to her, it occurred to her.
No, I said, my name is Mrs. Thompson. I'm subbing for whoever. And they were so embarrassed. And they were like, oh, I'm so sorry. So by the way, for somebody who looks like they're in middle school, subbing in middle school does not go well. They do not listen to a damn word you say.
I mean, to be fair, I don't think they listen to anyone. But it's probably especially bad if you look like them. God. Yeah. Or you're small like them.
So to be fair, when I was 29, I probably could have passed for a high schooler.
Yeah.
Guarantee.
I mean, they do. Right. I don't look at them and go, oh, why do they look so much older than everyone? Right. They look.
It's not like what's her face who was on 90210? Gabrielle Reese or whatever.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. No. She played Andrea. She was in her 30s, I think.
Yeah.
Wild.
And they put the way they dressed and styled her made her look older too.
So old,
which is weird.
I know. But anyway,
okay.
Moving on. And also while we're talking about Andy and Jack, I love the banter between Andy and Pacey. It's just fun.
It's so fun.
It's just cute. It's like Moonlighting or Cheers, or whatever.
Where he's always razzing her, and he gets the exact response he wants, and she's a little like frantic and like wide-eyed, but she gives it back to him. Mm-hmm. That's what I think makes it like you don't really like get mad at Pacey.
I know,
because she's kind of flirtatious in a way, and she's giving it back to him as well.
Yeah,
you know. So I love that too. I wrote this down, and this happens, I guess, twice in the episode. Jen in Dawson's bedroom, and then I just put cringy.
Jen in Dawson's bedroom.
It's backward. Dawson is in Jen's bedroom. When they're doing their practice.
Oh, I thought you were saying Jen and. I was like,
no.
Yeah. I wrote poor
whichever
Jen
bedroom they were in. Yeah, and he's uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And he's just trying to do the assignment. She kept trying. It was almost hard to watch.
I wrote it's painful to watch because she's so lonely. She has so much going on emotionally. And I have been there. I have been Jen that has done that. And it's painful to watch because I remember how that feels.
Mm-hmm.
And you just keep trying and it's not landing. And then so she like tries to play it off and she walks out the room all confident. But as soon as she turns the corner, did you see she was like, oh my God.
She was
crumble
and embarrassed and rejected all over again.
Like it's just the sadness.
It's so sad. And then I also just put, even though we've already talked about this before, Jen's haircut really is so cute.
I know.
It's adorable.
I had a similar haircut during that time.
Oh,
I did.
It was so cute.
Well, it was similar to hers. It was more along the lines of like Rachel from Friends. Like I totally was one.
So a little longer than what she had.
A little bit. But then I went a little bit shorter. So maybe it was pretty similar. I'll have to look at pictures.
It's adorable.
But also speaking of sadness and loneliness, Mitch and Gayle. Okay. So when they were like, oh, let's have date night, and both of them try to go out and like cruise for somebody.
So it's date night, but not with each other.
Right.
Thursday nights, which is just such a like non-romantic way to approach it anyway.
Right.
Thursday nights, we're going to go out on our own separately. And if we meet someone or sparks fly, then whatever happens, but only on Thursdays. And we have to tell each other about it. I thought that was weird.
Yeah, that's weird too.
But I mean, all the rules are different.
But granted, I mean, if that's their groundwork, fine.
Yeah.
But also, I thought that was not a great example because it's only one person who was really okay with it. Gayle wasn't really down for it. So, but then like the thing that made me sad and you could feel the loneliness was when they both came home that night and they're like, oh, how's your night? And they both lie and they're like, oh yeah, I did this. And then they get in bed and they're both just like laying there. And it's just so sad.
And then she turns away from him. At the end, I noticed that.
But they were just like,
she turns on her side so her back is to him, and he kind of looks at her and then just turns out the light.
It's just like, ugh.
Yeah. So their first Thursday date night didn't go great. I loved when Pacey was talking to Andy, and he says he's the black sheep of the family, and that won't change.
Oh.
Meaning, like, no matter what he does, he always will be. I just loved that. Okay, so this is a little TV reference. Did you ever watch the show Bones?
Uh-huh.
So I put the successful career woman that Joey follows around was on Bones.
She was.
She was the director of the Forensic Science Institute or whatever. I'm watching her and I'm listening to her voice and I'm like, who is that? And I realized it was her. I didn't write down her name, but that's her. And then she lets Joey like look at her design and Joey's like, well, and this is very 90s because now we've got all these electronic ways that servers will do your order. She's like, well, this floor plan that you all are working on won't work because you can't have the bar on one side and the kitchen on the other, because then you have to turn in your kitchen tickets on one side and your bar tickets on another, and your servers are just going to be running around. And of course they're like, oh, genius.
I know.
Like, thank you, Joey, for telling us that. You're so talented. And now, like, who cares? You just hit send. But also, it's like they probably would have figured that out on their own.
Yeah.
But I get it.
But also TV.
It inspired Joey. And she did say to Dawson, she goes, it made me feel like I can own my own business one day.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, you go, Joey.
But I think too on that, like, whenever her and Bessie like have a convo after all that, like once like Joey's feeling kind of bad that she made Bessie feel bad or whatever, I think they did a good job showing like Joey's struggle with wanting to just be a teenager and have fun, but then also loving her sister and wanting to help her too. Yeah. Like I think they did a good job showing like, you know, and then they did a good job with Bessie showing like, she's like, nope, you don't have to work here anymore. But, and then Joey's like, no, I want to, I'm sorry. Like, and that is a tricky place to be for both of them.
Right.
Because Bessie needs her help but also wants her to be a kid. But then Joey wants to be a kid, but then also wants to help, you know, like,
yeah. And I think
they did a good job of that.
Yeah, I thought they did a good job of that too. Yeah. And I thought that Bessie was very vulnerable in that conversation, which I thought was an interesting choice. And I liked it.
Same.
Because typically it's like the parent figure is a little more mature and wise. And then the other person, but even in that scene, she's like, Bessie, I admire you. She's like, really? Yeah. Like, what do you mean? I mess everything up. And I thought that was very cool. Like, I thought that was really well done.
Well, it helps them show too, like Bessie's her sister, not her parent.
True.
Right.
That's a good point.
And I think that's a good point to make because she's had to take on responsibilities of parents, but she's still just her sister.
Correct.
So that's a different relationship.
That's different. Another line. Did you hear when Abby said, opportunity is not a lengthy visitor?
No.
And that's from Christmas Carol. That's a Christmas Carol line.
How do you remember that?
I mean, it's in the book, but then it's also in the one we did, and it's in the Muppet Christmas Carol.
Wow.
The Christmas past ghost one in Muppet Christmas Carol says, opportunity is not a lengthy visitor.
That's my least favorite Muppet ghost in that.
Well, there you go. That's why you didn't remember it. But Abby said it and didn't say, that's from Christmas Carol. But I was like, that's from Christmas Carol.
That's a fun reference.
Yeah, that was a fun reference. Let's see, what else do I have?
I only have one more thing.
Okay, what is it?
And my last sentence was, boo, Tamara is back at the end of the episode.
Oh my God. I have Tamara exclamation points. Yes. So at the end of the show, you see Pacey walking by. Was it a convertible or was it just, so it's like this red convertible and she's got sunglasses on and it like zooms in and you see her head swivel to like watch him walk by. It was really, really gross. Let me see if I had anything else important. I think I just wrote down lines I liked.
He was walking with Andy.
He's walking with Andy. So we know what the next episode, episode 4, is sure to bring.
It's actually entitled Tamara's Return.
Oh, man. Okay. Well, make sure you guys tune in next time for literally Tamara's Return. And make sure you listen in to our regular episodes as well and follow us over on Patreon.
Yes.
Thanks for rewatching season 2 with us, or at least listening as we rewatch it. We appreciate it. Yeah. And we'll see you next time, guys.
All right. Bye.